Alright, as you can see, we are in Seattle, Washington. Alright, promise. We really are in Seattle, Washington. Let me show you. And today is unfortunately our last day here, all the way from Florida. So in this video, we're gonna rewind the tape and you're gonna come along for the ride and check out all the things that we've done gaming related, including the games that we've brought, games that we've bought, and of course, Nintendo. Come along for the ride. Let's rewind the tape. Alright, we finally made it to Seattle. We landed last night, and of course I was way too tired to actually record anything. But we're here. We made it to our Airbnb, and it is amazing. So yeah, we have a lot of things planned for this trip, of course. Of course, I got the stash of games over here that I'll kind of go over more in depth as we kind of get adjusted to the week. And just really what I'll be playing. I brought 4 games specifically, 4 Switch games. And of course, we're going to hit up some retro game stores while we are actually in Seattle. And maybe buy a game or two. So we are going to get some breakfast and enjoy the start of our trip. Let's do it. Alright, so the start of our trip actually ended up being at Pike Place, of course, and we stumbled upon this Golden Age collectibles place. Wasn't really expecting to kind of find anything, you know, pop culture related, video game related right off the bat in Pike Place, but we did, and they had so many posters. We ended up getting 3 posters, and of course my wife, she nods to the Majora's Mask one. They even had some cool collectibles, of course, even like the Dragon Balls here, and I'm just started Dragon Ball, the original, so it was really cool to see those and some Ghibli stuff as well. Got some Halo stuff on the bottom there, and of course I gotta showcase some Pokemon stuff. I am a big Pokemon fan, so coming across that was pretty cool. And they had some manga too. I wasn't even expecting manga, so you see some Zelda manga, which are really cool, and some Pokemon manga, which I have a few of those as well. And they got some Pokemon gachapons, and so of course we had to give it a shot, and we ended up scoring an Azumarill and an Electrike, so that was pretty cool. I mean, nothing, you know, too crazy, but it was a cool experience to be able to do that. And even in the same place or around there, they had this arcade. The arcade was pretty cool. They had quite a few things showcased here, including a Space Invaders, as you see here, just a huge screen, and of course this Mario Kart. We have one of these back here in Florida in one of the kind of sports bars, and it's such a cool thing, and I discovered them recently, this arcade version of Mario Kart, and it's such a cool idea. As you see my wife playing here, I noticed earlier that Pac-Man is even a character you can choose in this game. You know, it's really cool. But you know, we had to hit up Pink Gorillas. It is a retro game store two locations in Seattle. This is actually the International District location, so it's a bit smaller, but it's, you know, if you know Pink Gorillas, you know, but for those who don't, it's a pretty well-known retro gaming store in Seattle, mainly because the owners have affiliations with Metal Jesus, and DS Koopa is Cody, who is an owner of this store, and he streams on Twitch, as well as Kelsey, who has appeared on Metal Jesus and does her own thing with like the Video Game Foundation. Yeah, they got some expensive stuff here. You can see the Cubivore is $350, just the disc alone, so that was pretty crazy to see. And they have some posters which I thought were pretty cool, which shows the inside of the University District store, so that was neat to see. And of course they had some newer games as well, some Switch games, and man, seeing Switch games, I just want to buy them all. Switch is popping off, and of course some merch there. But yeah, this was a cool store to see. Again, it's a bit smaller, but it was nice. And then we hit up the Kinokuniya bookstore, and this is basically just a huge Japanese bookstore. They have tons of stuff ranging from manga, ranging from just, you know, these books right here, as you can see, and just so many things. They have, you know, Japanese newspapers, Japanese magazines. Of course, as you see here, they actually have Japanese manga, but it's not in English, it's actually in Japanese and kanji, so that was really cool to see. We got Goku here with a mask recommendation, of course, with COVID, and some really neat stuff like this kids section with Kirby. Such a really cool thing. I would love to even get this. I mean, couldn't read it though, unfortunately, so it was just cool to see. And it's a pretty big store, as you see here. It's fairly big. There's even an upstairs, which we are here now looking at the manga and video game section. They have some cool Nier stuff. Again, just a big store. Splatoon 2, I always, you know, get thrown off when I see stuff like that, whether it's the manga or the art book. But Ask Iwata, which is a book that I actually brought on the trip, we'll talk about later. And then this thing, I asked if there was any Persona stuff, and they had this only, which is an art book, I think like a situational art book from the original Persona 5, and I almost pulled the trigger, but it wasn't in the budget, so I just couldn't. But let's move on to the games that I brought. So I brought 4: Bayonetta 2, Mario & Rabbids, Xenoblade, and Yu-Gi-Oh! And let's go over Bayonetta 2, which is one that I brought on the trip, and I ended up beating it, and this game was so much fun. I do say it is probably better than the first, but not by much. The first one surprisingly was pretty good and almost on par with number 2, but just the amount of, you know, stuff that you can do in these games, and I am loving Platinum Games as a developer. It's just action packed. It is just filled with tons of fun. But again, like I said, I ended up beating it. I jumped straight from Bayonetta 1 right into Bayonetta 2, and it was kind of nice to do that, you know, to kind of see the differences and see how it improved and such. But such a good game, and I am very excited for Bayonetta 3. Next year we got Xenoblade Chronicles. Again, you know, I've been posting a lot of videos on Xenoblade, and I've just been playing a lot of it. I ended up beating the main story, and I brought this with me so I can play Future Connected, which is kind of the expansion post-game content of this game, and it's only about 5 to 10 hours, so I was able to beat this part too, and I'll probably do a video on it later. But it was really cool. It was a really cool to just jump back in to this game and just experience it again. So I brought Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Unfortunately, I did not get to it. I'm gonna hold that off till maybe later this year or maybe early next year, but it's one that I'm really excited to get into. Then next we have Legacy of the Duelist. You know, I'm a big Yu-Gi-Oh fan, so I brought this with me. It was a perfect idea to bring this to, again, card game, you know, trekking through the story, building some decks. I thought it would be the perfect game to, you know, play on a plane. I didn't get to it. I just didn't get to it, but it was still cool. And then we got Ask Iwata, which is a book about Satoru Iwata, just kind of like this business biography on Iwata, and I was able to actually finish it, and it was such a good book. There were so many really cool revelations that you kind of learned about the ins and outs, you know, during the Wii and DS era, which was pretty cool because I was kind of, you know, in that era with my DS. And we got the quote here on my business card: I am a corporate president. In my mind, I'm a game developer, but in my heart, I am a gamer. And to keep it on theme, we visited Nintendo headquarters. That is right. We were able to go to Redmond, Washington, and kind of get some pictures, get some video footage of Nintendo, and it was a really cool experience just being able to see it and just seeing some Google photos of what it's like too. But while we were on the trip, October 5th, the new Smash character was announced, and I was able to actually get my reaction as I was in the living room of the Airbnb, and it was kind of just worked out perfectly for the timing to kind of just wake up and kind of watch it. It was 7 a.m. over in Seattle. Thankfully I was already up because of jet lag and stuff, but I was able to catch it, and I honestly didn't really know who was going to be. I didn't really have any expectations. I was just here for the ride, and I was pretty glad to see who it was, and they really did nail it for the end here. But yeah, these are my intense reactions. Now we moved on to the University District and visited the main Pink Gorillas retro game store, and yeah, it was exactly how I pictured it. It was so cool to see the opening here. You got Star Fox, Fox McCloud, and then some goodies here. They are known for Japanese imports, so you'll see some Japanese imports too around the store. And of course, the things in the cases are the more pricier, expensive items. You got some GameCube titles there. It's just a really cool store to just browse around and see. They always have great inventory, got some DS stuff, and yeah, it was just really cool to just walk around. Even some expensive Switch games, which just blows my mind, but yeah, just really cool. And of course I had to get a shirt. The merch is pretty cool. I had to bring back a shirt, and they have tons of plushies too. The only plushie that we got was a Pink Gorilla plushie, which they make their own plushies, so that was really cool to get. And at the end here you will see all the things that we purchased on our trip, and yeah, and they had these really awesome Pokemon. I think they're actually gachapons, but just these little figurines. They have some detail to them, and I got quite a bit. It's always cool to see DS games too. They have all their games kind of in these plastic coverings hanging up, and the store owner or the associate will cut them down for you if you want to buy a game. And they had another gachapon, so we had to go ahead and try that, of course, and we got Gyarados. I am not mad with that pick. But yeah, that was Pink Gorillas University District. Such a neat retro game store. Love the marketing, love the branding, love it all. Really cool stuff. I'd be shopping there almost every week if I lived near it, but it was cool to visit. But here is all the stuff that we ended up getting. Of course, I had about 6 or 7 of the Pokemon figures. Ended up getting some manga. My wife did, Soul Eater, and a few others. Sweat and Soap. Again, Soul Eater, just the first volume. She really loves that anime. Another Sweat and Soap. Of course, I had to get the shirt, and here is the plushie for Pink Gorillas. So cool. And we got Super Mario 3D Land, very good price for only $15. And of course, all the Pokemon related figures that we got. I had to take a long time choosing which ones I wanted. Deoxys absolutely was an easy choice for me. I got Officer Jenny, which was pretty cool to see. And yeah, just a really good time in Seattle. But that was our trip. We had such a good time, and we are excited to go back sometime, someday, but had a great time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Comment below, do you live in Seattle? Have you been in Seattle? Have you visited Pink Gorillas? Have you visited the Nintendo headquarters? Let me know, man. It was such a good trip, and I would love to hear other stories as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.